Is that like your dream, your mission, your goal, your
Yeah,
purpose, you think?
so at least my goal, kind of how I tie it into something more fulfilling and less, materialistic, is, I'm sure as you've noticed too, like you can get like material success, but that feeling is very fleeting. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like you get that initial dopamine rush, but after that, you're kind of just like, okay, now what? Like your brain just normalizes that, and
Yeah,
then you get back to the same normal.
so true.
So for me, it was like, I'm looking at like how can I hedge against that and create something that like creates genuine fulfillment. And what ended up happening is right after that Cuba gig, I had basically my entire business collapse on me in the span of a week.
Huh.
So I went from making like 10 grand a month
Yeah.
to zero, like zero money, and I was 40 grand in debt. So like I lost everything overnight and I had to start over from scratch. And
Yeah.
I just started with like what I know to be true, which is I love making music, I want to be financially secure, and I love performing. And I
Mm.
just started building from there again. And what I realized is, I've been really thinking a lot about how to create something that's genuinely fulfilling to me.
Mm.
And what was interesting is a lot of the reason I was running that business was to impress people.
Mm.
Also because I was insecure, so
Mm-hmm.
it was more of a front because I didn't want to tell people I was trying to become a rapper.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like telling, especially my parents, if I just told my parents, "Hey, I'm dropping out of college to become a rapper," that's not gonna go
Mm.
well. Whereas if I say, "Hey, I'm
No.
dropping out of college to start my own business," that at least seems a
Wow.
little more socially acceptable. And you know, a lot of that decision came from the fact that I was gaining momentum in the business. But at the end of the day, it's like you can have all that money. Like I made as much as 20 grand in a month and I was depressed
Yeah.
because it was like, why do you want this money? I wanted that money to like
To
impress
fill
other
your
people.
holes.
Yeah, to fill the
Mm.
void. And then you get it and it doesn't fill the void. And you're like, well, what was all this sacrifice for? Right.
Literally.
So,
All the
like,
hours and
yeah. So, like, I'm sure as it's like, part of evolving is learning to not, the metric isn't material success, the metric is fulfillment and happiness. And you should be
agreed. Amen.
building around that and strategizing around what gives you that, not around, what is going to give you the most money or the most
Yeah.
resources. Now, that doesn't
And the
mean those can't
beautiful
play into that.
and the beautiful
You know?
thing about your journey is that even you having the experience of making £20,000 a month is that like outside of your music career and that you set that standard and you've attracted that money before, which means that like subconsciously you're attracting that same amount, but it'll be of something that you love.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly. Well, where I want to take it now, and we'll see where this goes with Corona and shit. I know inevitably shit's gonna open up, right? Inevitably we're gonna find vaccines and shit's gonna get back to a normal, right? And
Yeah.
for me, it's like what I think would be really cool is you see all these artists and they go on like a tour, and the tour is like touring their album.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is go on a tour, and instead of me touring an album, I want the tour to be named after like a charity.
A cherry.
Yeah, a charity, and have the
Oh, a
tour,
charity, sorry.
yeah, the tour be around, getting money for that charity.
Oh, beautiful.
So like, imagine if I could go into a city, play a sold out show, and not only am I playing this crazy show that I sold out, but I know I'm going to feed 10,000 people that night.
Mm.
That's going
Sounds
to
like a mission, bro.
allow, that's going to create, more of, yeah, exactly like you said, more of a mission, because you look at all these artists, they get big and that success doesn't fill the void. That's why
Mm.
so many artists end up abusing drugs and overdosing. It's
Mm.
because they used success as a way to fill that void inside them that can only be done through internal work. They're looking for
Mm.
external validation to fill that void. And when it doesn't fill that void, they're forced to, rely on escapism.
Mm.
And then they lean into that to the point that it kills them because they've sacrificed so much to get where they are and it didn't work. So they don't really know what else to do. Plus, just the lifestyle of a musician, you know, tends to make that happen more. You know what I mean?
And I mean, they have everything they want, so they feel like they're kind of their heads in the clouds. Whatever they want, they get. Whether that's sleeping with women, whether that's money. I also think your mission sounds like the universe is gonna work in its ways to help you, because you're, like Tony always says, the secret to living is giving, and that's exactly what you're doing. You're using your power, your alignment, plus the mission to give money to charities which will affect lives, and it sounds like an awesome mission, bro. I look forward to seeing it manifest.
Here's the challenge for me, is knowing how and when to implement the charitable aspect, because the problem right now is I want to get it to scale. So in order for me to do that, I got to reinvest everything, and I'm not even at a point where it's profitable, right? So for me right now, it's really building this machine where I can actually make a profit and build an audience that I can monetize, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, once I can start selling tickets, that's where I really see my impact being made. But it's a tricky balance, because it's like, well, if you're not making an impact now, like, when are you going to start? And you can always keep pushing it back, saying I'm just investing more and more. It's like finding when to pull that trigger on, like, now I'm making that impact.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to do it without it affecting the scalability. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's such a tricky balance. It's so hard to make money in music already.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know enough to even understand how you make money in music and all that stuff. But I feel that if you have a strong enough reason why, then that the other things kind of fall into place as of when you're ready and they're ready for you and your mission, you know?
Well, I think what's cool for me is it's like, even if it didn't have that philanthropic aspect, I've framed it in a way where I'm genuinely fulfilled. And I feel like I'm playing a fucking video game, and like I'm just having fun with it.
Yeah.
So like I'm at a point in my life where I'm not insecure. I have a good relationship. I have, you know, and I just have fun with this. Like conversations like this are interesting to me.
Yeah.
But this is work, technically. All right. This is building my brand. This is giving me content to, you know, grow my audience. And so it's like, regardless of the scale it ever reaches to, like I've already won.
Yes, bro.
You know what I mean? Like you're never
100%.
going to reach a point and then be like, okay, now I've won. Like what winning is waking up and enjoying the process.
The now. Yeah.
And that's the tricky thing, right? And like that was the thing, is it's like you can get blinded by these materialistic checkpoints of success, but if that doesn't give you genuine happiness and fulfillment, you're fucking losing.
Yeah, which you won't.
But society is telling you otherwise. So it's like fighting back against that is kind of this, you know, whole challenge.
Definitely. You know what I mean? Yeah, well, I mean, society tries to mold us into what success looks like, and you know what being attractive looks like on Instagram, and all these things that aren't the truth and aren't really what will make you fulfilled, you know?
Yeah, definitely.